Michael started listening to Dan about 4 or 5 years ago. He loved how he was biblically responsible and a good man. Michael says, I had about 100,000 of a rollover 401k, diversified in 17 stocks on my own, lost a good bit of it over coded, stayed in the market, came back, and then some. I think I said coded. I meant COVID-19. It got really burdensome trying to manage 17 stocks. So then I read an article about a Chinese billionaire who was at the time the unnamed holder of a huge block of Tesla stock. He spoke to how he would invest in just 2 to 3 companies, lost on a few, but won enough to become a billionaire. So I thought I knew better than all the really smart financial people and decided to go in on 2 stocks, all in. I know, and I'm smart enough to know that was a bad move. Greed and the devil got me. So not only did I put all my marbles in 2 stocks, they were both speculative stocks. These 2 horrible moves has me down about 80% in the last year, a $200,000 loss. My balance now is $27,000. I'm down $200,000. What do you recommend?
Okay, so a couple of things there, Michael. Thank you for being brave enough to share your story with us, because I think that's going to help a lot of people. Because we do talk about that a lot, that, one of the cornerstones of our plan is that we have a long-term outlook and we advocate for proper diversification. So, owning 2 to 3 stocks would not be a strategy that I would recommend for someone. Sure, it has worked out for people from time to time. And those are the stories that you're always going to hear in the news, how people got wildly rich off of making these, taking these outlandish risks. What you don't hear in the news all the time are all of the stories of failure. Now, I'll say that this has been a very expensive lesson for you. So I applaud you for sharing this with other people, so perhaps they can learn off of your experience. But one thing that you mentioned, is that the value went way up and then the value went way down. So what I got out of that is you started with 100,000 and you're now down to 27,000. That is a bad position to be in, no matter how you look at it. But you also say that there's a $200,000 loss. What you have to remember when you're invested is that you don't actually make money or lose money until you sell, right? So the increase that you saw was just kind of on paper, and the decrease as well. So you actually went from 100 down to 27,000. So that's not quite as bad as going from thinking that you had 200,000 and you went down to 27. So, what you do at this point is avoid the mistakes that you've made in the past, and that would be concentrating your portfolio into positions. So when you have a devastating loss like that, you've got to be aggressive in other ways. If you're going to try to rebuild that, you have to be aggressive in the way that you save. You have to decide to put more money back to try to compensate and overcome for that. I think it's a bad idea to try to find, 2 more really aggressive stocks that can go way up and, avoid, like you said, that greed. One of the foundational principles is little by little wealth grows. So anytime that you end up in a position like you're in, what you really have to look at, you can't look back and you can't beat yourself up, and you can't go back and undo anything that you've done. What you can do is commit to doing something different going forward. So at this point in time, you have to look at it as you have $27,000 and you want to build a good diversified portfolio. So what I would do is diversify that $27,000 in the right way, according to whichever model you're going to use, and maintain that discipline going forward.